new cloud tech and no speedboard make this feel like the first On shoe that is actually cloud-like. After a few runs in it, I'm ready to give you my first impressions. Real quick though, a disclaimer that On did send these shoes to me for the purpose of review, but they're not telling me what to say and all my opinions are my own. Let's go ahead and dive into the specs. So I believe the stack height is around 34mm in the heel and 24 in the forefoot. Either way, it does have a 10mm heel to toe drop. The weight comes in at 8.6 ounces. The price is $160, and I put this in the up-tempo trainer category. Let's go more in detail now and talk about what's new in the shoe overview. So the upper uses recycled polyester mesh. It has nice ankle and tongue padding and unique lacing. The midsole is 100% Helion foam. There's no more stiff speedboard, and it introduces a new interlocking cloud tech phase technology. The outsole has a few minimal patches of rubber, and that's about it. Moving on to the fit of the shoe, I found it to fit maybe a little roomy. For me, my feet are on the slightly more narrow side, but I did have to kind of crank down the laces a little just to get my foot more secure. But besides that, I thought it fit pretty great. The length was true to size for me. And once I started running in the shoe, I didn't really have any sliding around or anything. All right, let's get into the meat and potatoes and talk about the ride of the shoe and my first impressions. So I'd say that this shoe definitely has a different ride compared to any other shoes from On that I've tried. I'd say maybe the closest is maybe the Cloud Go, but this is definitely much softer and bouncier than that shoe. A lot of this is due to, one, the lack of that speedboard, and two, this new cloud tech phase technology. So you get that nice interlocking cushion in the heel, and then it kind of fades away into the forefoot. It helps to kind of propel you from heel to toe, and then once you're on the toe, it firms up a little. So when I was taking a little bit easier, going slower, I really noticed that super soft heel cushioning. And then when I was picking up the pace just a little and get more on my toes, it firmed up and became a little more responsive. I think that this is going to be a good everyday trainer and a pretty versatile trainer too, where you could maybe do a little bit of tempo runs in it and some long runs and stuff like that. But overall, I think that this is a new good direction for On with that much smoother ride and much more plush underfoot feel. Alright, now it's time to do a couple of quick comparisons. The first shoe I'm going to compare the CloudSurfer to is the CloudMonster. So I think that the CloudMonster was really kind of the first shoe from On to make its way into a wide variety of runners, get more popular in the actual running scene. And while I think it's a pretty good shoe, I think that it's probably on par with the competition and there's other shoes that are better. I think that the CloudSurfer is definitely more on par with the competition and is a little bit cheaper than the CloudMonster. I think the main difference between these two shoes is, again, like we've talked about, the technologies that they use. So this one's going to feel a little bit stiffer and firmer with that plate, that speedboard right under the foot. And then the big holes for the Cloud Tech are just parallel with the ground, so they kind of collapse and bounce straight back up, while this one, it doesn't have that firm speedboard, so it's not maybe as snappy at the toe off as the CloudMonster, but with that cloud phase technology where it helps propel you forward, it does feel a lot more cushioned in the heel and a lot smoother heel to toe. And like I said, still responsive on the toe, but the plate does make this one a little bit more snappier. Overall, I think that the CloudSurfer is more plush than the CloudMonster. That includes the upper with the more padded heel and tongue, and then just that softer underfoot feel. I think that these can both fit in your rotation, with the CloudMonster maybe being for those longer, slower runs, while the CloudSurfer is for your everyday runs and maybe some up-tempo runs in there as well. So the next shoe I'm going to compare to the CloudSurfer is the Novablast 3 from Asics. So both these shoes have a similar foam compound, neither one have plates, and they're both versatile trainers. I'd say that the Novablast 3 does feel like there's a little more underfoot, maybe a little bouncier, but I still think that the CloudSurfer is definitely a Novablast competitor. I think they have a lot of very similar use cases and similar feels to them. I do think that the Novablast maybe leans a little more towards the up-tempo trainer category, while the CloudSurfer leans a little more towards the everyday trainer category. But if you like the Novablast 3 and you want to try it on, I think that this might be a good option. So wrapping everything up, I do think that the CloudSurfer is the new kind of gateway shoe for On, where it's a lot more similar feeling to the competition, and for people who may have tried On but not liked the speedboard, this is going to be a good option to get people in the brand and maybe be something that they like. Me personally, I'm really liking this new CloudTek phase technology, and luckily we're going to be seeing it in more shoes to come, so excited about that. But I do still have a lot more miles to put on the shoe before I give you my final verdict, which will be in my full review video. Subscribe so you don't miss that. Thanks for watching, and as always, keep on running.